Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It's 3 a.m. The local bars just closed, and the man recording this ruckus just wants a bite to eat from his neighborhood pizza joint after a late night out. Instead, these men in black appear to want fisticuffs instead of a slice. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on.
It's really happening.
But it's clear that these pizza workers are only serving beatdowns at this hour. These unruly customers forget that when you bring the fight to pizza workers, you're met with a pizza paddle.
It's really happening. It's amazing.
And a large serving ladle.
It's still slapping.
While the man recording captures a surefire viral video, it doesn't appear he'll be getting his slice of pizza anytime soon.
I'm still waiting for my pizza, by the way. You're not getting it. I want my pizza.
One of the hot-headed neighbors is arrested and charged with assault after police arrive in 30 minutes or less. Surprisingly, only one of the pizza bakers sustains minor injuries, but like a true Brooklyn local, is back on the job the following night, ready to serve his neighbors both pizza and justice, fresh and hot. After being evicted from her apartment without a place to stay, 55-year-old Deborah Brenner gets a new lease on life when she moves into a duplex in Grand Island, New York.
To be homeless was awful. I lived in a hotel with the thruway right next to me. My first night here was the best feeling in the world. I just wanted peace and quiet.
The only possible drawback to her new home is the tenants in the unit next door, a man and woman in their 60s.
I had been fair warned by the landlords. The tenants next door wanted, quote unquote, their peace and quiet. I was like, oh, cool, you know? Obviously, I wasn't expecting what I've been going through.
But a month after moving in, the warning comes true when she and her neighbors begin to argue over the placement of their shared garbage bins.
They're not going on the side of the house, that's it.
That's what I've asked for.
No, I said no, they're not.
I've asked for a reasonable accommodation.
Deborah suffers from a bad knee and claims she has fallen taking the garbage out. She asks the neighbor to put them in a more accessible place for her.
It's hard for me to get to the garbage cans because I have to walk through the very uneven grass.
You are not handicapped enough to not do that. Bye. Go in the house where you belong.
I wasn't expecting any of this. The level of what they've taken it to.
A few days later, Deborah finds herself as the target of her neighbor's ire once again.
You're too fat. You're too fat. That's what you are.
Who cares if I'm
I
fat?
don't care what size you are or what.
Go into rehab or handicap.
Frustrated, Deborah stands her ground, and the intense back and forth escalates.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That's why I fell that day. If you really need to know.
Did not fall for that.
That disease has nothing to do with
You're
walking
not
on the grass.
sick. You're a psycho bitch.
I'm not steady on my feet.
Things got very, very heated. I knew it was gonna go way south. I did not know how south it was gonna go.
Stop calling me up.
It's not your business.
At that point, I kept thinking, this is all over garbage cans. How crazy is all this?
I dare you.
I dare you.
I dare
Don't
you.
touch the bitch.
I would never hit you in the first place. I don't
She's a worthless piece of. Are you that psycho bitch? Record it all, bitch.
Deborah says she won't be cowed by insults and insists her request is reasonable.
Don't touch the garbage cans.
I'm not gonna smell your garbage in my living room window.
Well, too bad.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, you wait and see what happens.
After the verbal mudslinging, Deborah and her neighbors go back inside. In the weeks after, Deborah claims they still refuse to move the garbage, making things extremely difficult.
I'm like a turtle that doesn't want to come out of my shell. It's not the best living arrangement at all.
And while this neighborly headache is not something Deborah anticipated when she found her dream home, she finds a silver lining in this trashy ordeal when she signs a lease to a new place.
What do I long for in my new neighborhood? Neighbors that actually like to hang out with each other. I long to have, hey, can you come help me? You know, can you send one of your kids over? Or, you know, I need somebody to help me with the shoveling. Can somebody come help me?
I dare you.
I dare you.
I dare you.
Don't touch the bitch.
I would never hit you in the first place.
No matter the neighborhood, there's nothing more important than keeping children safe. And at a local PTA meeting in Rocky Point, Long Island, parents and students alike have gathered to discuss ways to do just that.
I'm considerably larger than you, okay?
But after one high school senior finishes telling officials how he's against armed guards in school, a man calls him over.
If something happened, if I decided to attack you, it would take the cops 3 to 5 minutes to come here. Probably 10 if the traffic's bad.
The parent, whose 2 daughters attend the school, has a different opinion on the need for armed guards. And to prove his point, he does something alarming.
What are you gonna do now?
The man pulls out a switchblade, taking the teen off guard.
What are you gonna do now?
Stop it!
Shocked by the man's actions, the neighbors are unsure how to handle the situation as the man holds the knife in the air.
I just walked into the building with this. It's not a gun, but I can do a lot of damage with it.
His way of persuasion does not go over well with the students and other parents in attendance.
That's illegal.
You can't pull a switchblade out on a kid in school. That's insane.
What do you think, a guy with a gun?
No, that's completely illegal.
This is why we need security.
To defuse the situation, the man is escorted out of the building. The story is covered by multiple news outlets, and while school officials call the man's actions inappropriate, they don't believe he intends to harm anyone, proving that bringing a knife to a PTA meeting isn't the sharpest of ideas.
What are you gonna do now?
Stop it!
The first snowfall of the year often brings chaos to neighborhoods. So after a 1-inch dusting in the suburban town of Spring Valley, New York, work-at-home dad Yuri Shinsky is alarmed by what he sees outside his home.
I remember that morning very clearly. I was with the baby in my living room with the shades drawn up. Saw a minivan really going a little bit too fast. The conditions just slide off right into the edge of our front yard. I'm a little bit of that pain in the butt neighbor. I get upset when I see people speeding up and down our road. I get concerned for the safety of the children in the neighborhood because there are a lot of little kids around.
Underneath the snow, a sheet of black ice has formed, so now the minivan is stuck and causing a dangerous obstruction. But at least the emergency services are on their way.
As the truck was getting closer, I did hear the siren louder and louder, and I just can't really believe what I see next.
And then a serious accident when an emergency vehicle flips over right outside his house.
A lot of thoughts started going through my mind. Was the driver okay? Are they hurt? What happens with the vehicles that are still coming down the road? They might slide into this vehicle. Could really create a much more dangerous situation than it already is. I just know I need to get to that driver right away.
Within seconds, Yuri jumps into action, and realizing the driver may be trapped, he grabs a seatbelt cutter from his car and rushes to the vehicle.
I just have no idea what I'm gonna see, who I'm gonna see, if he or she is injured, if they're unconscious, if they're alive. I just don't know what to expect, so I gingerly open the back door. I find the driver kneeling on what is the roof of the vehicle, which is now the floor. The driver of the vehicle is a pretty tall guy, probably 6 foot plus. I don't know how I would have managed to get him out of there without any assistance.
It turns out that Yuri is not the only neighbor to witness the unfolding emergency.
Neighbor across the street, who was the second person on the scene. And this guy is unbelievable. He's barefoot and he's slipping and sliding all over the place, but he's out there really looking to just help out whoever needs help.
Thanks to the quick-thinking neighbors, the driver is rescued unharmed. And later, Yuri discovers that he is in fact the chief of the fire department.
He seemed like he was a little shaken up, but completely uninjured and very fortunately so. So to be an everyday citizen and come to assist first responder is counterintuitive. It's usually the other way around. I was just trying to do the right thing.
The SUV is recovered, and Yuri realizes that the entire incident is captured on a security camera.
When I look back at the recording of this accident on my camera, seeing how everybody comes together, helping everybody out, and it really makes me feel good to live here and to be part of this neighborhood. Know that if I ever need help, that I can count on somebody to be very close by and quick to respond.
Plants in the garden may love being showered with water, but neighbors do not.
Turn it off.
And one evening, in an upscale neighborhood of New York City, an argument has broken out in the hallway of an apartment building because the man with the beard says the neighbor in the shorts just drenched him with water.
You're disrespectful!
Hearing the commotion, the woman who lives upstairs starts recording.
Get out, please. You got it, bro. Now, yo, I can't make this yo. Please just get out.
The woman recording says the man with the beard was sitting on the stoop a few minutes earlier. But now, he's in the hallway confronting the neighbor in the shorts.
I'm sitting before I can't do water on me. Did I do something wrong to you? Cleaning my steps? How? If I told you for a cab! Wait, listen. No! You trying to make it seem like you're doing that wrong. Please. I was there.
The neighbor claims that he was simply washing his steps when he accidentally soaked the man. But the man in the beard is upset, and the situation is intensifying.
No! You're bro! I work for the street! I didn't expect to work!
Suddenly, just as it seems the man with the beard may be going, he throws a punch, and the neighbor stabs him in the back with his umbrella. A fight erupts, and the pair wrestle on the ground until the man with the beard runs off with a bloodstain on his shirt.
Get out, please!
The woman recording is unsure which man's version of events is correct, and she doesn't know what happens next. The neighbor says she hasn't seen the man with the beard again, and the downstairs neighbor moves out shortly afterwards. But it's clear that in this neighborhood, stoop cleaning can escalate to a hallway brawl faster than a New York minute.
I can't make yo.
It's the afternoon, and everyone's trying to get home from school. But for neighbors on this block in Brooklyn, New York, rush hour takes on a whole new meaning. After stealing a school bus from an unlocked yard, the driver is determined to make a clean getaway, regardless of what's in front of or behind him. Luckily, there are no kids along for the ride. Now trapped in gridlock, neighbors try to keep the bus from moving any further as police race to the scene. With both police and neighbors climbing over cars and running down the block to try to stop the chaos, the bus manages to ram its way past the roadblock, racing further into the neighborhood. With the bus now gone in a puff of smoke, neighbors come out into the street to inspect the damage left behind.
Oh my God.
Damn, son. I got everything.
Smash that! He moved that bitch!
I'm trying to go back to jail. He done hit every car on the block. Look at this. They chasing. I see mad cops.
After hitting nearly a dozen cars, the suspect crashes the bus a few blocks later. He's arrested on several charges, including grand larceny and reckless endangerment.
Look at this.
2 people, including 1 officer, suffer minor injuries and are treated at the scene.
I'm glad I pulled to the sidewalk. He did everybody car, yo.
And for all the neighborhood kids hoping for a day off, a brand new bus is sent the following morning, so no one misses a day of school. When most people think of New York, they think of the Big Apple. But upstate New York is filled with welcoming and picturesque neighborhoods, which is exactly why homeowner Chris Dorenzo is raising his family there.
We were really drawn to this neighborhood where I grew up, knowing that it's a very quiet, family-friendly neighborhood.
Chris and his wife purchased a home in the town of Lyons. And before they can even bring in their first moving box, they're introduced to the neighborhood busybody who lives right next door.
The day that we did close on the home and got the keys, we were out front and she came out of her front door and said, "Hi, I'm the new neighbor. Your lawn really needs to be mowed."
One morning, as the fall turns to winter, they look outside and see something new attached with zip ties directly to their house, a snow fence.
So a snow fence typically help prevent the snow from blowing over the road or over your driveway. It is very uncommon to find a snow fence in a residential backyard, such as this.
Chris and his wife decide they don't want their neighbor's apparatus on their property. When she's never asked permission in the first place, they remove the fence from their house and take videos of themselves doing so to post on social media. But after taking the fence down themselves, the neighbor puts it back up while she thinks nobody's watching. Once she's done with the fence, she installs motion sensors in her house pointed towards the Terrorizes to deter them from touching her precious fence.
After the neighbor had put 2 motion sensors in her window facing our home and the snow fence, we decided to take googly eyes and draw little faces all over the window that faces her house right next to the snow fence and just write, "We are watching you."
But the neighbor doesn't have a sense of humor about the matter. And while Chris is at work, she finds another way to once again put the fence back up.
She then proceeded to take several pieces of trash, like a garbage can, a bench, a block, and take those items and pile them against our house, pinning the snow fence between our house and those items. And my wife woke up and saw it and basically decided, "I've had enough, I'm done."
Not wanting their neighbor's apparatus on their property, Chris and his wife take it upon themselves to remove it. Infuriated by her fence being taken down a second time, according to Chris, their neighbor puts the fence up once more, then makes an unexpected call.
So instead of having a civil conversation, she decided that calling the state police would be a better avenue.
Okay, so you guys are the ones having issues with the neighbor? And
Yeah, her snow fence is on our property, and she continues to pile her stuff up against our house.
Like against the gutters.
Let's compare maps.
When the New York State Troopers came, we had a map of the property line handy in our hand. I brought it out with me. So they could see exactly where the property line was.
We're gonna settle this right now. We gotta take measure, we're gonna compare maps.
That's not the property line.
All right.
We own 5 inches.
Stop. You're not gonna argue with her over here. Do you understand?
Yep.
You want to speak to each other while I'm here.
Okay.
Understand?
Despite the heated words between both sides, the troopers attempt to work as a mediator between the two neighbors and to determine exactly where the property line ends.
She's piling this stuff up against all this, though.
Okay, do you agree?
Nothing was touching there.
You liar.
That's why I put this.
I have pictures.
We have pictures and videos.
And when they make the final call, the neighbor moves her a pile of junk and puts up the fence in a way that doesn't anchor on Chris's property.
She has generally left the snow fence alone where the cops told her she could put the stuff that was just over the edge of the property line.
Now, Chris and his family have an uneasy truce with their fence-loving neighbor, and he still holds out hope that they can have a reasonable relationship even after all the drama.
This experience has really taught me to listen to your neighbors and try and understand where they may be coming from. This situation has also made me realize that we need to buy a big farm one day with no neighbors anywhere in sight.
You liar. We have pictures and videos.
The only thing harder to find in New York City than a perfect apartment is a perfect parking spot. In Upper Manhattan, a man's dash cam catches his neighbor banging repeatedly on his car hood. According to the man, this woman is angry at him for taking a parking spot right outside her apartment. Most New Yorkers don't have driveways, but some treat the spot in front of their building as if it's their own. A claim this neighbor is making very clear, giving the rare double bird, along with some advice. She shows no signs of stopping while the man's wife calls the police.
You know this is not normal human behavior.
The couple grows concerned as they wait for the police.
A normal human being does not do this kind of stuff. She's gonna break your glass out.
Finally, another neighbor intervenes.
I'll give you $20, bro, and I'll give her $20, and I'll take the spot.
The neighbor offers money to both the man and the woman to stop fighting and just drive away.
We actually want
We're not here for the spot. We're not here to argue.
But the man doesn't want the money or the parking spot.
Right now, I just called the cops on her.
He just wants the police. Police arrive and the woman finally lets go of the car. According to the driver seen here talking to police, an incident report is filled out, but no charges are filed or tickets issued. Instead, the couple eventually drives off, leaving the parking spot to the woman. And the neighborhood drum solo finally comes to an end. Now to Queens, New York, where lifelong resident Joseph Aspromonte lives in a nice little home. Only a quick train ride away from the Big Apple.
Well, I've lived in this neighborhood all my life, but I moved into the house that I'm currently living in back in 2014. The neighborhood that I live in is row houses, which is common in Queens. I get along with everybody on the block. It's a pretty tight-knit community, but small, kind of off the beaten path, which is nice.
Shortly after moving into his new home, Joseph discovers that one neighbor has a mouth as tough as the streets of New York itself.
Yourself and drop dead!
I was warned by the people that previously owned the house that the lady next door was a little aggressive and she might come out and yell at me.
Yourself and drop dead!
It's beautiful.
Yourself and drop dead!
My first experience with her was when I was in my driveway with my garage door open. She started screaming about my garage door being open somehow would make her house cold.
Close that door!
What for?
It's cold!
That's all right, I'm warm.
I'm cold next door! Close that door!
The houses are attached, but there is a big giant cinder block wall between my garage and her garage. And there's no way that having my garage door open would make her house cold.
What does my door open have to do?
Yourself and drop dead!
She does have that one motto that she keeps going back to, that F yourself and drop dead.
Yourself and drop dead! Yourself and drop dead! Yourself and drop dead!
In that order. I guess I couldn't drop dead and then go myself. Wouldn't work. All right, myself and then drop dead.
This seems to be her go-to.
As the years go by, Joseph's neighbor shows no sign of slowing down, quickly flying off the handle at the smallest things.
No!
Yes, take that ladder off my property!
It's not on your property!
Even something as simple as a line on the curb from the city is enough to set her off.
Look at the curb, you
What happened to the curb?
She's just pissed off at the world, I guess. She just doesn't like anybody. I get the brunt of it because I happen to live next door to her, but she's this way with everybody in the neighborhood. Down the block, across the street.
I'm telling her, take that ladder off my property!
Just people driving by.
In my driveway. Get the out!
And she will unleash her wrath on anybody.
Get the out!
There are times that I worry about her safety just because of the way she acts with people.
Get the out of my driveway! You're the
In one of these episodes, the police were actually called, not by me. What happened was one of the cars pulled over in her driveway while she was sweeping. And that didn't sit well with her, so she started screaming at him.
Get the out of my driveway!
And then she took a broom and she started smacking the roof of his car and started making dents in it. So bad that he actually called the cops on her.
Yourself and drop dead!
And when the cops came, I had to intervene. I just went over to the cops and I said, listen, she's upset, so if you don't mind, if you would just let her kind of slide on this, that it would be great. And they did.
Do you know where I live? No, you don't. I don't give a where you live.
The past couple of years, she has been very quiet and to herself. I believe she's also maybe not in the best of health now that she's getting older and realizes she may have to someday rely on her neighbors for help. And if that were ever the case, I would be there to help her because she is a person and I wouldn't let her go down.
Do you want a hot chocolate?
Yourself and drop dead.
All right.